You work for Dyslexia Scotland, yes? Or you work with Dyslexia Scotland?
Dyslexia Scotland, which is it went from regional, and then they asked me to be a national volunteer as well. So that was the way I've been going forward since then. I mean, amazing group of people who have been so supportive towards me, my dyslexia, and finding out how my brain works to help other people with the same issues is something that I really enjoy doing, and working with different dyslexics, because we're all different. We all bring something new to the table, so it's great fun. Made loads of new friends.
How have they helped you? How did they give you a diagnostic test, or did they guide you to the right places? What did they do?
No, well, they guided me to the right places. I was told in the 1980s that I was dyslexic, but back then I was told it was a reading and writing problem. So once I'd learnt to read and write, I didn't think dyslexia was a problem. It wasn't really till I had a huge accident, which left me hospitalised and needing surgery.
God.
And when I went back to work, I started noticing there was issues, but I didn't know what that was. And I thought, well, surely it can't be dyslexia. But I looked up on Google and sort of went, oh my God, this is me. And trying to find help, because I was told that there was local groups that you could go and talk about being dyslexic and stuff.
Like Alcoholics Anonymous or something.
Yes. So I'm trying to find all these local groups, and I came across Dyslexia Scotland by accident. So I was told about the adult meetings there, which I found hugely useful, and finding out different ways I could learn and stuff like that. And then they invited me to conference one day, and I just went, yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Yeah, I'll go along to that. And then they suddenly went, you're the regional volunteer for such and such place. I went, okay. And then last year they went, well, why don't you become a national volunteer as well with them? Because I'd been helping the regional, Lena, the regional person. Helen takes the adult dyslexic groups along with Liz for us to all meet up and talk about being dyslexic. And Katie is our careers development, and I've done a lot of work with her because she's helped me with getting the Open University in to help me with my career choices, how to put my CV together. I eventually plucked up the courage to go back to the education system, and I got my equivalent to an HND in counselling because of the mental health issues that go along with dyslexia. And since then, you know, every time if I'm free and they ask for help, and it's always a great learning curve and meeting new people. And
can I don't want to put you on the spot or ask for anything specific, but you talk about mental health issues that accompany dyslexia. Now, without being specific about any individual person, what sort of mental health issues would these look like?
Well, I have a lot of frustration that leads to anxiety because I struggle to cope with some things, especially if it's linear, because I find getting from point A to point B, the thought goes on the magic roundabout and ends up somewhere else.
I noticed on your LinkedIn profile, you describe yourself as an out-of-the-box thinker.
Yes. I found this out because I would sit at work and listen to meetings and stuff, and they'd be looking for answers to some things, and of course I'd just see the answer straight in front of me and say, you know, or that's going to be a problem. to have everybody sitting there staring at me going, how did you come to that? And I'm like, just know that that's the way it works. I just know that that's the answer. But don't ask me how I got there, but...
I don't want to misquote any particular science fiction show. I'm not certain what the background is, but I kind of imagine a lot of your thinking is a little bit like folded space, and you go through the geometry,
yes,
as it were, when people otherwise have to go through a very linear process.
Yes.
Can you say you're a volunteer with Dyslexia Scotland? So what do you do in your capacity as a volunteer?
Well, I've recently been helping Katie with we did a careers project where we did videos, and it was all dyslexics who have done it, even the film crew that helped Dyslexia Scotland are dyslexic themselves. And
what's the name of the videos that you've made?
It's called Dyslexia Scotland Career. It's on Dyslexia Scotland YouTube. It's called Career Services. And
very good videos.
Pardon?
Very good videos, by the way.
Thank you. We have everything from police officers to working in government. I did my own video where I'm talking about being a blogger, which is quite weird, being dyslexic and being a blogger at the same time. But I've found that it's a great way to talk about dyslexia in a humorous light, to give people a perspective of living with dyslexia, because it can be very frustrating at times. But so it gives younger people who are going to be leaving school and stuff an idea of the choices and the services, because we are becoming more up to date with services and dyslexia, and trying to break down the discrimination within workplaces about dyslexia, that this is an excellent service to show how you can go forward, instead of thinking that you can't do that because you're dyslexic.
So this brings me to a question I'm particularly interested in, and I don't know whether you have the answers to this, but the Scottish education system is different from the English education system. It's funded differently and it's structured differently. So I guess that means that the Scottish Dyslexia Association operates slightly differently from the British Dyslexia Association.
I haven't had much working with the British Dyslexia Association. I recently just talked to Darren Clark, who has his own company about dyslexia. That would be really interesting, you know, especially trying to answer questions if we come across that, because we have set up everything from supporting a child through the education to being an adult in the workplace. And as I say, I don't know how the British Dyslexia Association work myself, but it would be highly interesting to compare that to what we're doing. We've got about 220 teachers on board. We have the Open University doing free courses to help teaching staff. There's so many ranges, and of course having the help desk, which I'm hoping to go into and start helping with. We have lots of things where people trying to find out about assessments, everything, where we have all that sort of, it's taken a lot of hard work over many years, but that's where we've got lots of lovely worksheets made out that you can get online. Everything.
And you can get these via the Dyslexia Scotland website?
Yes. Everything is on there. Events that we're holding, worksheets if you're needing them, how to get in touch with our helpline if you're...
Do you have any connections with the Scottish Government, the Scottish Parliament?
We also have the cross-party dyslexia group. I'm not a part of that, but there are people, I think Helen Lena and Katie are part of that group, and they go to the meetings to see what's happening. But I've been to one, but that was a long time ago, and accidentally set off all the alarms because of the pins in my leg. It was a bit sensitive.
It's such a wonderfully dyslexic thing to do.
Yes, I know. Yes, it's my leg, honestly. It's everything's flashing and beeping. It's the leg, honest.
Can I ask, do you also have any dyspraxia?
Yes, I do. Because reading through Brooks and stuff, Dr. Sylvia Moody's brilliant with that. And I have no sense of direction and stuff. My partner's like, go left, and I'm like, he's like, where are you going? I'm like,
yeah.
I think I'm going left. No.
Yeah.
And other issue, I can't drive. I managed to get a forklift license. God only knows how I did that. But
I'd hate
to think back on it, it sounds really scary. I'm like, who the hell did I do that?
Now,
you know,
going back to your assessment for dyslexia, Dyslexia Scotland provides, I believe, a 3-stage assessment process or diagnostic process. Is that correct?
You'd probably be better asking, because I've not been through it myself. I went back to childhood, and the way I was reading through it, I knew my dyslexia was a problem. If you ask Lena, Katie, or Helen, they'd probably be able to give you a better insight into that.
Yeah. Well, if I can ask then, I was thinking about the specific challenges that Dyslexia Scotland might face, that dyslexia, the British Dyslexia Association wouldn't face in England, although it may face in Wales, I don't know. That on the one hand, Scotland, I believe, has 2 official languages.
Yes, we do. We have Gaelic and we have English. Yeah.
And do they impinge on dyslexia differently? So is Gaelic harder for people with dyslexia?
No, Dyslexia Scotland have actually got a lot of stuff in place for the Gaelic community.
Yeah. And do they provide resources and information for people from, for instance, other ethnic minorities, for instance, people who speak Hindi or
yes, I'm pretty sure they have translations. I mean, at the present moment, I go in and help with the sheets and stuff. I've not seen them in translation, but I'm pretty sure that they do have translated.
Yeah.
Because there is a large Polish section and other minorities that live within, and I'm pretty sure that they have provided for that.
Yeah. Now, I'm also interested in because you're in the role of a national volunteer. Scotland is a big country with not very many people in it, and so there are communities spread out around Scotland. How easy is it to provide outreach to these communities that are perhaps not in Glasgow or Edinburgh or Dundee or Aberdeen, but that are further afield?
Well, as I said before, we have an amazing teaching staff. At the conference, I've met people from Caithness and other small communities. Dyslexia Scotland have also been doing a lot of parent classes, which they advertise for every area, and people who are doing those parent master classes travel around and give the talk, or they might be close by to give a talk. We have people who travel around specifically for the parent master classes. Dyslexia Scotland themselves go around and talk to different schools and stuff. They set up meetings. And of course, we've got the brilliant technical services and support from Call Scotland to show all the different technical services that are online to help with people with learning difficulties.
So it sounds like you have, on the one hand, you have a foot in one door. On the one hand, you have a foot in the door of the Scottish Government, and on the other hand, you have a foot in the door of the smaller communities spread around the nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a brilliant setup with lots of volunteers to help support Dyslexia Scotland who believe in dyslexia, could be dyslexic themselves, and we all meet up and can vent our frustrations about being dyslexic, and then we can go back and see all the latest things that are happening, so we can pass on the messages.
And what kind of frustrations do you hear about?
Well, trying to get into work, into stages. We do have lots of stuff for practicing and stuff. I mean, I know that trying to go back into employment myself, I'm anticipating what questions you're going to be asked, what the answer is going to be, whether you've misinterpreted that question. You know, or you're just sitting there feeling like the big elephant in the room because of people's different perspectives of dyslexia and the issues that it arises.
And so has Dyslexia Scotland managed to change perceptions over the years? So from when you discovered you were dyslexic in the 1980s, and it's now 2020, so that's what, 40 years or something. Have the perceptions of dyslexia changed in that 40-year period?
I found that perceptions of dyslexia have changed. It also depends on the person as well. I mean, there was at one point, my last job, I told my manager that dyslexia was a gift. I could tell by the look on his face and his body language, he thought I was a total lunatic. So it all depends on somebody's perceptions. Studying equality and diversity at the moment and at home, it is still very stereotyped, and trying to break down that stereotypical idea of a dyslexic person, because everybody is unique. You just have a bit further to go as a dyslexic in trying to understand within written rules of an English language that it is different and you are more creative.
I was going to say you may not know, because I know that not everybody in Scotland speaks Gaelic, but is Gaelic an easier language to read if you're dyslexic?
I have no idea. I haven't tried it myself. I would say Dyslexia Scotland will help support anybody, no matter what range or how severe your dyslexia is. They'll give support to everybody within the community, and if they don't know the answer, they will go and find out and give you the answer the best way that they can to help support you and give you the correct information that you need. And the help that you can get within our community and who you can contact within the community to help try and get some help and support.
So there's a lot of advocacy and a lot of support there from Dyslexia Scotland.
Oh yes, definitely.
You mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation that when you first heard you were dyslexic, you were told it was just about reading and writing. Now, the implication is that there's more to it than that. So could you tell me?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's so much more to dyslexia. as I've been finding out, I got help from Access to Work, who gave me access to neurodiverse training, so I could see different ways my brain works and how to put in new structures and stuff that I didn't know were there. And that was amazing. Because it is different for everybody, but I could understand this guy better than I could understand my manager because of the way he was putting things out. It just clicked.
And he was explaining things in a more structural way, or a more metaphorical way, or
less a linear way, more creative. I found out about color coding, how to use a PEG system, what softwares were available that could help me. The fact that I had visual stress as well, I didn't know about that. And how to combat that was also making me less tired, and I could find that that was far better way to work. So
I notice you're wearing tinted spectacles. Is that
yes?
Yeah. And
yes, I mucked around. I mucked around with different coloured acetones, which I found out about, and I found that having a yellow background with black writing in a different font and in a different size was far more helpful than trying to read everything as everybody does in this tiny little font. And I found it much easier to try and remember what was actually written down, rather than, as usual with my dyslexia, people asking me a question and then coming back and going, remember that email? And I'm like, no.
No.
Where is the email? Working memory just went goodbye.
And Dyslexia Scotland have helped you access these coloured overlays, or they've helped you access information about these coloured overlays. Information.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Well, and through my blog and stuff now, for the amount of stuff that helps dyslexia, I'm wanting to try and start adding that into my blog so people can try it for themselves. I mean, we've also recently, one of our ambassadors, Rossi Stone, does Deco Comics, which are brilliant. They're visual, plus having the writing differently, the numbers differently. It helps the children learn how to do it, if they can draw it.
Could you give those a bit of a plug here? What are the names? What's that called again?
Deco Comics.
Deco.
DEKKO.
Brilliant.
Comics.
Thank you very much. Look, Susie, thank you for your time. You've been really interesting, and you've been very informative, and it's great to hear how Dyslexia Scotland works. There are differences, by the sounds of it, between Dyslexia Scotland and the British Dyslexia Association, and it's really, really nice to talk to you. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. No problem.